Okay, so I've found something pretty noteworthy already. You know, the boy worked fast. So let's get right into it. There's a whole queen, a whole queen, a black queen that first of all, let me update you on the statues right quick. So you got these clowns defending Mount Rushmore. I think you can see that. Got clowns defending Mount Rushmore. And that's a problem for the $5. It's a big problem for the $5. Clowns defending Mount Rushmore. Now they pissed off. And the $5 said very clearly it's in their DNA to fight for their sacred mountains and sacred lands. So since the majority of their sacred lands have been stolen, they're super pissed about this right here. I mean, they've been pissed ever since it happened back in the day when they blew the mountain up to mold those faces on Mount Rushmore. But they're even more pissed today than ever before. And the president of the Great Sioux Nation, Julian Bear, he done warned them people. That's the fourth warning. That's the fourth warning. I didn't even have to give warning number 4. That's the fourth warning to President Trump. Julian Bear said Trump can't come to Mount Rushmore. Trump wants to go to Mount Rushmore and invite 7,000 clowns to Mount Rushmore to have a big party at Mount Rushmore. That's pretty dumb. You keep doubling down instead of repenting, bro. You must get on both knees with your face towards the earth and recognize the superiority of the apple of God's eye. You don't understand that a public servant is less than the people that he serves. So now you got the great things that he's doing, which nobody knows because they don't pay attention to nothing. So that's why I'm talking about the queen. Oh yeah. Just to remind y'all about the injustices that continue to happen. New details emerge as soldiers' family demands answers. Authorities made a disturbing discovery in the case of Vanessa. She's Army, and she died for snitching about sexual harassment. And you should not die for snitching about sexual harassment. Shouldn't die for that. So that's what happened, and everybody's mad about that. Everybody's pissed off. And so am I. So let's get back into the actual presentation I was trying to get to you, which is there's a whole queen. Not that one. Perfectly exposing. That's not what I want. That's not what I want. Let's go. Let's bring this down some. That's what I want right here. All right, yeah. I want to put this I'm gonna put this down here. And I wanna move this where you can see it over. Hold up. I tell a bitch nigga, hold up. I want to move this whole thing, but it don't want to move. Don't say it want to move. Oops. And press the button. Some kind of way. It should not have been pressed. There we go. Now, I'm going to get over here. I'm going to go back in.
Okay, that goes back into the bill. As soon as you got a birth certificate and the World Bank was involved, the bankers, and you got issues.
Here we go. That's the queen that's telling all the business and telling about the great things that Trump is doing that don't know nobody know nothing about. Because it ain't for you to know, it's for you to find out. You know what I'm saying? And then once you find out, then you know. But you know, Sioux Nation is gonna continue to hate because they don't know no better. You feel me? They don't know no better. So I'm gonna let you hear some of this and then I'm gonna keep talking.
Birth certificate and Social Security card, you became an employee of the United States of America. Okay? So in order for that, you know, across the world of these arrests, these people.
All right. So I think I might have to share my screen for this particular part of the presentation because it appears to be a lot too small for normal TV for you to see it that far. Now, watch this. Matter of fact, I'm gonna just go ahead and play everything over here on this side. So I don't have to go back and forth. All right, so now if you take a look at this list here. All right, so now 95% of the information that she says in this video is true. 5% is false. Unless you believe in cloning and stuff like that. Doppelgangers or whatever they call it. There's a list here that says that Madonna has been arrested and executed. Lady Gaga was arrested and executed. Oprah Winfrey arrested and on house arrest. Ellen DeGeneres arrested on house arrest. So now, Harvey Weinstein arrested and in prison. Jeffrey Epstein arrested and serving life in prison. Okay, so this list, the Queen didn't produce this list. Somebody produced this list. And it appears that some of this information could be a bit, some of this information is false or could be false if you don't believe in clones. See what I'm saying? Pope Francis arrested and executed. Who in the world, in their right mind, would ever say that Pope Francis was arrested and executed? I know good and well that man, but I haven't checked the whole list yet. I just went randomly through like the biggest names that I saw. So I saw Nancy Pelosi that we just saw kneeling down the other day, arrested in that Gitmo. How? When was this video made? 22 hours ago. Okay, cool. But Jeffrey Epstein arrested and serving life in prison.
Arrested. These people are being held. Some people will get into that in a few minutes. But you know,
think about what you're saying. Where everybody, you know, there's expositions saying that he did not kill himself and that he's in in prison, in Supermax, and giving all the information about the stars and stuff. Okay, that's fine, but I'm fairly certain that he kept absolutely thorough records in order to protect himself from prison. And those records are what they're using to search for people. But the rest of what she's saying is true. I don't know where this list came from. It may have come from the owner of this channel. You see? So her name is Amina. And this guy's channel is Mr. Rec TV or MREC TV. You see? So I just randomly list and I looked up the names that stood out to me most. I looked up a bunch of them. I looked up Robert De Niro first. He's not on this particular list. But I looked up Ellen on house arrest and Oprah on house arrest, and you can clearly see both of their ankle monitors. They're obviously seen. We know Harvey Weinstein went to prison. We saw that live. And I'm gonna go through every last one of these to see how much accuracy the person that made this list came up with. But
are being held. Some people.
When you see this, this is the first page of the list of arrested and executed. Oh, well, I guess it would be the second page because this is only focuses on who was arrested and executed. So Fred the Godson, they're saying he was arrested and executed. Now, why they would smear him is beyond me. John McCain, arrested and executed. Joe Biden, arrested and executed. When? When did that happen? He's still on the campaign trail right now. You understand? So why are you making a list of false information, bro? I mean, if you got a little leaven, leaven's the whole lump. See, this is why you people need to understand Israelite paradigms, because you just do crazy shit all the time, which we don't appreciate. You understand? So I looked up Robert De Niro. That was the first one I looked up because he was on the top of the list. And he's used to be one of my favorite actors till I became racist. Robert De Niro, arrested and executed. I looked him up. Now, they got a 3-day-old interview with him on MSNBC. 3-day-old, man. Okay, so you telling me they did that interview 6 months ago and then just aired it 3 days ago? I'm a type of skeptical type of person. You understand? So I don't know about that. And you saying Fred the Godson was arrested. How was he arrested when he died of COVID-19? Were you saying he died in jail, in county jail? Is that what you're saying? But I'm gonna look up every last one of these names. And I might report on it, I might not. But this is some good information in this video right here, just to let you know the type of stuff that's going on behind the scenes. See, y'all think everything happens in front of the camera. That's not the case at all. People meet all day in order to make money. So the meetings are not on camera. The telephone calls are not on camera, generally speaking. And they do things. They move things around. So the reason I know she's telling the truth about what you're about to hear is because I've been knowing these things for the longest. But she's telling me stuff even I don't know. So she tied it into what I've been seeing in the reports. And I didn't put it together like she did at all. She got it down. She got it down pat. You understand? So I see His Imperial Majesty. That's what I've been trying to show him to y'all for the longest. And I showed him 100 times on my channel, but y'all don't watch my channel. So watch this. Tiburcio CO Villamor Marcos IV. Right? Now, that's the dude right there. That's him. Him, King, Tiburcio Villamor Marcos, Tilano Tajin IV. Personal profile. That's him, right there. So you can check up on that stuff if you want to. I'm just showing you who he is. So now that guy is the sole controller of the Israelite fortune. And you're about to hear the Queen break down how. So what I was noticing with him on his page, on his YouTube page, he publicizes the calling in of the dead. So his father, back in the day, back in the 70s and whatnot, or whatever time he lived, in the 70s, I believe, placed the entire Israelite fortune in banks all over the world. So we know banks are owned by banksters. And at that time in the 70s, people were still fooled into believing that Jewishers who wish they were Jews and are not, but are the synagogue of Satan, own the banks. And they still own the banks to this day. To this day! So his father screwed up, had a mental error, mental block, and placed our entire Israelite fortune in banks around the world in order so it wouldn't be centralized in one location. He wouldn't have to commit so many resources to defending the fortune. But he messed up by putting it in the hands of the Jewishers. The banks are owned by the Jewishers. The Jewishers are the synagogue of Satan. They're psychotic, sociopathic murderers. You don't understand that. And he didn't understand that. So they literally could just semi-legally hijack our fortune because it's in their banks. So possession is 9/10 of the law. If I'm holding your property, 9/10 of the law says that I can continue to hold your property without your permission. You understand? So, but the other 1/10 of the law is you proving that I'm holding your property. That's where the paperwork comes in that you guys don't know nothing about. Paperwork. See what I'm saying? You got to do paperwork for everything now. Famous people understand that. They understand that business. When they say, "Oh, you got to handle your business," they're talking about the paperwork and the meetings and the calls and the arguments and the debates that you got to have in order to get shit done. They understand that very clearly. You don't. So I'm gonna take the time to look all these up, and I might report on it, I might not, because it's a lot of names. But I just want you to hear what Trump does behind your back that you don't know nothing about. Pay attention.
Behind the knowledge behind why Donald Trump was recruited to be president, for one, because he has no military background. no political background, he's not a pedophile, and for someone to finance their own campaign. Trump financed his own campaign, and he also doesn't get $1 salary.
Hold on. I'm trying to, I don't know why it's still coming out of my TV instead of. Okay. Sound is still coming out of my TV. Well, I'll just have to turn the TV up, I guess.
It's actually lost money based on the fact that he was ran for president and has been president for the past 4 years.
Donald Trump was originally recruited to be the president. I need you to build on that.
Okay, so the story behind, or the knowledge behind why Donald Trump was recruited to be president, for one, because he has no military background, no political background, he's not a pedophile. Recruited to be president, for one, because he has no military background, no political background, he's not a pedophile. Because he has no military background, no political background, he's not a pedophile. And no political background, he's not a pedophile. No political background, he's not a pedophile. And for someone.
It's the Queen now. You clearly hear that both of these accents are black people. So quit hating.
To finance their own campaign. Trump financed his own campaign, and he also doesn't get $1 salary for being the president. He's actually lost money based on the fact that he ran for president and has not been president for the past 4 years. Okay, here's the thing. Trump is in place, and has been strategically put in place to bring order back to the United States, or to bring it back to a republic state, okay? A democracy, these people, they say they're communists, okay? That's a whole other bill we can have later.
She said the deep state are communist. And she'll build with Enric letter on that.
But Donald Trump is probably, he won't even run for re-election in 2020 because the reason why he's here is to arrest these traitors and restore the law of which it is that America is.
Restore the law. So when you see him tweeting law and order, he's literally talking about arresting the deep state. All you have to do is Google the number of bankers that was arrested. You feel me? As soon as he got in the office, you'll see it. 36 bankers. So now, when I refer to Tiburcio Villamor Marcos IV, repossessing the Israelite fortune out of the banks all over the earth. I'm talking about every bank, every major bank. He's repossessing them. The banks are bankrupt. I said that years ago in like 2016, because I saw that the banks were bankrupt, literally bankrupt. How ironic. So yeah, man, I've been talking about this for years. And the vindication is just so moi. It's so moi. Like you can moi my ass, you understand? So actually you can call me Master Key. I'm in the process of getting off half a key. Thanks, Jay. Okay. Now I'm taking a lot. Matter of fact, I'm taking it all. Jada know what I'm talking about because they came to my city the next day trying to fight. Man, stop that, man. Get your money, dude. Don't be pointing at people, telling them to beat people up. In that new video you got, man, stop playing, bro. All right, so I'm over here talking about how the man that I just showed you right here, all on this screen, yeah, this guy right here, he has been letting the banks know that he's coming for his money. And of course, you know how Jewishers are. They some warriors. They don't play no game. They don't play no game. And so he had to get the backing of Trump, Putin, and the Chinese governor, or whatever his title is and whatever his name is. Xi Jinping or something, I think it's called. You know how when a Chinese baby is born, they throw pots up against the wall, and whatever sound the pot makes as it flies around the room is the name of the child. So his name is Xi Jinping. That's the sound the pot made. You understand? So that's what happened. He got they're back. They backing him up to repossess the monies that he controls, and the monies that he controls is the Israelite fortune. It's all in their documents that it is an inheritance from Solomon and the rest of our families, the Israelite family. You understand? There's only one family, but we're talking about the tribes and whatnot. So that's important for you to know.
Okay, and taking these steps that have been planned out strategically for him to do that. Okay, so in order for him to carry this out, there's some things that have to be put in place. Now, let me just say this for the record. The majority of people feel that Trump or that Trump is not in control. The military and Trump is in control. The deep state are the ones that they try to regain control. So all these riots and all these narratives, every day is different. These hoaxes, all this stuff, is because they desperate. The solid majority is quiet.
So she's saying the deep state is desperate. So this is why they hired a scientist from America, shipped him over to China, Wuhan, China, into a lab in China in order to mix SARS and HIV and then call it coronavirus. Coronavirus. That's what they did. So the FBI arrested the guy who created coronavirus in Wuhan, China. He was from the United States, so he was clearly a traitor, clearly. So Trump has been arresting that traitor, and the list that I just showed you of traitors, the banksters, the Jewishers who run the banks. You understand? So he's been doing all that. You don't know nothing about it because you're a hater. I mean, so that's fine. It's important to hate. You gotta hate wickedness, though. You Israelites claim you don't hate based on skin. And sometimes I see that you don't hate based on skin, but then you don't do any research to see what people are doing good and bad. You don't. When I warned Trump the first time that he needs to get on both knees and put his face towards the earth, 3 days later, he scheduled a meeting with a lot of the families that had been getting destroyed. You understand? I read them off one time. I might can't find that list again here. It might be around here somewhere. Hold up. I tell a bitch nigga, hold up. I might be able to find that list. So, yeah, Trump met with the family of Ahmaud Arbery, Botham Jean, Antoine Rose, Janelle Robertson, Adriana Jefferson, Michael Dean, Darius Tarver, Cameron Lamb, and Everett Palmer. A secret meeting now. So what does that tell you? I told him to get on both knees with his face toward the earth. And nobody knows what happened in that meeting. So it could be possible that they did it there, but I don't think he has that type of humility. So, because humility is very difficult to come by. Now, I consider myself a pretty decent guy. You know what I'm saying? Pretty decent guy, and I'm scared to do things that God tells me to do. Like, I don't have enough humility to do some things that God tells me to do. So I'm working diligently on perfecting humility in that way. You understand? So he says, do not be offended at all, and do not offend people. I do that though. So I try not to, but I'm working on it. But you know, it's you know, I'm working on it. So now, that's what he did 3 days after I commanded him to get on both knees with his face towards earth. So I'm pretty sure he determined some type of restitution for them. I don't think he met with George Floyd's family because they were probably too distraught, and this was before they even buried George Floyd. So they probably didn't have really much interest in meeting with him like that, going all the way to DC to meet with him when they were in the process of trying to bury George Floyd. That's most likely the case of what happened there. And then there was, you know, that's what I'm saying. It's just stuff that's going on that you want to turn a blind eye to. You want to be Jonah. That's what I call you people. You people are Jonah. You don't want America to repent. You know what I'm saying? You want to see America destroyed. You know, but that's why it's so easy to see in the text that the classical arena of the Israel area, Israel and Egypt and the peninsula over there, the Arabian Peninsula and Saudi Arabia and all that stuff, it's easy to see that that's the classical arena. You know what I mean? Even though some of the places was constructed over there, but all that was just refurbishing of the space. It wasn't like a literal constructing the pyramids. They can't rebuild the pyramids today with the equipment that they have. They don't know how to build those pyramids today. But some of the locations were reconstructed, and you can make a strong argument that that they built the whole area over there just to make it look like it's in that space. But that's not the case. I got a homie that out of Cali that tries to expose that whole location in Egypt with the pyramids, the Great Pyramid and the Khufu, and you know, the 3 big pyramids, or the 3 most famous pyramids that line up with the Orion's belt. He says that all of that and the Valley of the Kings and all that stuff is a pure hoax. So that's completely unbelievable because they're not smart enough to do that. You understand? All right.
And that's Trump enough.
You know what I'm saying? They dictate the narrative. Okay? So the first thing that Trump had to do was declare temporary martial law. You know what I'm saying? He'll need the support. He needs the support of us, okay, the people, to make this go down. Because what they are really trying to do, as far as the support of us, okay, the people, temporary martial law. You know what I'm saying? He'll need the support. He needs the support of us, okay. You know what I'm saying? He'll need the support. He needs the support of us, okay. You know what I'm saying? He'll need the support. He needs the support of us, okay, the people, to make this go down. Because
now, did I say that, or did a whole queen say that? That's right. A whole queen said that, not me. See, you don't never hear me preaching about support Trump, even though I done donated to him $5, $10, whatever I had at the time. And I promote his videos and the good things that he does, because everybody always wants to focus on the bad. You waste too much time focusing on what's wrong instead of reinforcing what's right in order to condition people to do what's right. When you give a positive reinforcement of something positive that someone has done, then it fires off endorphins in their mind, fires off endorphins in their brain, and those endorphins feel good. When somebody does something positive, you're supposed to reinforce that with accolades and, like, oh, you did a good job there. But no, you want to be Jonah. Okay, all right. Okay, Israelite brothers. That's not me passing gas. That's my leather chair making them weird ass sounds now. So stop playing with yourself.
what they are really trying to do, as far as drain the swamp, is to disable the whole system, which is America. America is a system. It's a corporation. It's a business. It is not a country. Okay, that goes back into the bill. As soon as you got a birth certificate, and the World Bank was involved, the bankers, and you got issued a birth certificate and Social Security card, you became an employee of the United States of America. Okay, so.
You heard what she said. She said, when you got your birth certificate and your Social Security card that was invented in 1933, you became an employee of the United States of America, which is a corporation. So that's what I be trying to tell you people. So a lot of people argue that we are slaves to the United States of America. So, I can go either way. Because I could say we're slaves too. I don't mind realizing that I'm a slave in order to fix my condition. You understand? But the PC term and the modern term for slave is employee. This is what you people don't understand. Now you're called an employee. That's a lot more palatable to people. Yeah, I'll be an employee. Where you want me to sign up there, boss? You just sign right here, boss? That's what an employee does. See what I'm saying? They get paid $30,000 a year, $60,000 a year. See what I'm saying? What you think the slavers was paying their employees? Something like $300 a year, which equates to $30,000 a year now. Oh, you don't believe? Okay. No problem at all. Let's go $300. Inflation. Let's go before slavery ended. Let's go to 1860, just with the 5 years before slavery ended. 300 and 1860 to 2020 inflation. I ain't never even calculated this before. This is my first time ever doing it, right in front of your face. Right. Price difference. Converted amount. $9,000 a year. 300 back then is equivalent in purchasing power to about $9,267.25. Now, when you go to the slave posters, 700. That's the number that sticks out to me most, because most of the time when you see a slave being purchased and stuff like that, they purchase the slave for a certain amount. Okay, so a lot of times it'd be $600-700. So let's go Negro for sale. Negro for sale. Okay, check this out. Slave auction in Virginia, auctioneer. Let's see how much it was. How much a cargo of 94 Negroes. Let's see if we got the amount here. Sale of 440 Negroes. To be sold a cargo of 94 prime healthy Negroes. Okay, let's look at that one. They prime and healthy. Consisting of 39 men, 15 boys, 24 women, and 16 girls. Okay, where's the price? How much is it? I don't know. But let's go back here and guess that one Negro, now that's times 94 now, one Negro was sold for $700. So, see what I'm saying? So this is the reason that they was purchased for $700, because they had to spend $700 a year to feed and house people. See what I'm saying? So it was communism back then too. See what I'm saying? So in other words, 700 in 1860 is equivalent in purchasing power to about $21,623.59 in 2020, a difference of $20,923.59 over 160 years. The 1860 inflation rate was 0%. The current year-over-year inflation rate from 2019 to 2020 is now 0.12%. If the number holds, $700 today will be equivalent in buying power to $700 next year. Ain't that funny? The current inflation rate page gives more detail on the latest official inflation rates. Goodness gracious, that's crazy. Wow. It's going back. The money is becoming worthless. Yeah, so in 2013, that's how it looked, but then in 2020, okay, $21,623.59. So that's what I'm saying about that's what happened back then. So a lot of the so now you are an employee, so they pay you the money directly, but they're actually, you notice that your boss gets paid before you. So the company that you work for, that you are employee for or a slave for on your plantation, your modern plantation, your boss gets paid way before you do, and way much more than you do, in order for them to pay you. See what I'm saying? So it's a system that is comfortable to a lot of people. A lot of people like that system. That's the same way it was back in chain slavery time, when they would say, "No, I'm not going. I was not goes nowhere. I was bones on this plantation, and I's gonna dies on this plantation." You know what I'm saying? You people are stuck. So I bet you didn't even know that the Underground Railroad, right? Let's look up the Mason-Dixon line right quick, just to show you something. Mason-Dixon line. Look at this. I bet you didn't even know that the Underground Railroad ran the whole from this end of the Mason-Dixon line to this end of the Mason-Dixon line. And everybody everybody thinks that the Underground Railroad went south. I don't know why they would think that, but it makes sense in some arguments. It makes sense, but from what I've always studied and read and understood, that it makes a little more sense that they would go north above the Mason-Dixon line, and because of the diary of Harriet Tubman. Harriet Tubman is the most famous person that associated with the Underground Railroad. So she wasn't in every square inch of these locations. You see, the word had got out all across the South, and this is the literal, like, South. You know what I mean? Except for, some of these northern states up here. And the word had got out that about the Underground Railroad, based on the Puritans giving us safe havens as we traveled north above the Mason-Dixon line and through states into sometimes as far north as Canada. See what I'm saying? So that's what Harriet Tubman's diary says, is that I can no longer trust the American government, because there was part of helping her efforts, but there were many countless other people who ran Underground Railroads just like Harriet Tubman did, because she was smart enough to get the word out about that system and that plan. So she would give people detailed information on how to escape and go north. So when she found out Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, right here, that the government had traded on the black people, she realized she could no longer trust the government, and she quit going through Philadelphia. So she went around Philadelphia and kept going to Canada at that time. So, she was a spy, for the United States government. So she got highly trained on espionage and being secretive about things and blending in, and being in disguise and stuff like that, and just acting natural as a free woman, because there were lots of free people. That's why she never got detected, because it wasn't only just black slaves, there were black free people all over everywhere throughout the country. And all you had to do was show your free papers, just like we have to do today. We have to show our ID and stuff like that. You see what I'm saying? Because a lot of times when you get to stop, they think you're like an escaped convict because you're all supposed to be dead or in jail according to their efforts. But Black people ain't dumb enough to die and go to jail 100% of us. That's just ridiculous, and it's a waste of their time for them to even try to get us all to commit crimes and kill ourselves, shoot each other. It's just a waste of time. But they do it all day long, every day anyway. They continue to kidnap as many people as they possibly can. You know, normally under the age of 15. You know what I mean? Sometimes they get away with capturing 15 and 16-year-olds. That's because a lot of people that age get into prostitution, and then they get kidnapped and sold, you know, to the human traffickers, like the real human traffickers. They call pimps human traffickers, but they're just regulating the safety and security of the people, of the girls. You know, and then since they have that much power, they become corrupt themselves and start abusing the girls. But we're talking real selling to the people that she's talking about and that they showed a list of in this video, where they sell people en masse in order to torture them, because in order to create adrenochrome, you have to torture them to create adrenochrome. And that's a big time drug syndicate that they have going on. And this is why everybody's getting arrested behind your back that you don't know nothing about. You see what I'm saying? And Trump is the one arresting them because the Queen said that he isn't a part of that system. He's not a pedophile. He doesn't have any military background and so forth and so on. So he doesn't have any vested interest in the corruption that goes on in DC. And he said he wanted to get in there because he loves America and he sees the tyranny that's taking place in America and he wants to correct it. So, you know, in front of the camera, you guys don't really see that. You have to look very carefully at headlines and, you know, things like that. And you have to read, basically. So if you have an activist mind, you're more sensitive to articles that fall in line with activist issues. So one of our main issues is the babies that go missing, thousands and thousands and thousands of babies, you know, under the age of 15 that go missing constantly every year without nobody being held accountable. And so we know for a fact who's dealing with that and how it trickles through the Jewishers and even into the political arena of the famous people that you see on TV, and the entertainers. That Corey Feldman, he just exposed a documentary in May. Just exposed a documentary in April 22nd, I think it came out. You know what I mean? So come on, man. The information is too vast. Then you got that boy, the Home Alone boy. He said, "Oh man, I'm finna tell it too." Then, you know, Macaulay Culkin, he snitched on him too. Well, man, you don't understand what's going on. The black guy was the first one to come out about it. One of the first ones to come out about it. What's his name? Marcus Houston homeboy. Marcus Houston homeboy came out about it and said, you know, we was being abused our whole career. And he went crazy and wanted to kill himself, and he chose life and decided to stay alive. So his purpose is going to be fulfilled. And I'm pretty sure he's extremely ecstatic that people are actually being held accountable, now. So, man, that's got to be painful to continue to go through, relive the torture that you went through as a child. You know what I mean? And just nobody ever being held accountable for that.
In order for that, of course, the world of these arrests, these people have been arrested. These people are being held. Some people, we'll get into that in a few minutes. But, in order for that, Donald Trump, like I said, he signed back in 2018. He signed an executive order, which is it blocks the property of those that are involved in human rights abuse and corruption. And that was specific for the things that Hillary Clinton was doing, Barry was doing, Comey was doing, and Mueller. Now, if you know about the Mueller report, then you know what I'm talking about. That's a whole other topic. They had a uranium one scandal. Okay, and this is what.
So she's dropping a lot of information in here, but you got to watch this at your own time, because this is just making me want to look up every word that's coming out of her mouth. But I've already looked up 90% of it, and she ain't doing nothing but telling 100% facts. So she ain't the one who posted those two lists that I'm gonna be looking up later on today. You understand? And she's just spitting the truth. So you take your own time and to watch this. Amina drops shocking info on celebrities, etc. you wouldn't believe. Watch now while you can, because they do shadow ban and delete stuff. But don't let them delete it, MREC. Sue them like young Pharaoh did and win. All right, that's enough of this, because these people, they make me so angry that and then you people make me angry by not knowing how to look stuff up and how to pay attention to reality. So love y'all. Shalom.